Please hit the like button. Please hit the bell icon. We need likes and we need follows.
Perfect.
Sorry.
So let's do that. Okay. So Tata Motors, guys, very quickly. First, the numbers, we know it's weak, right?
Yes.
I mean, Jaguar has virtually gone out,
Yes.
depending on Land Rover, etc. and stuff like that.
China is a factor, Europe is better, and EBITDA was in line for them, and EV is something which is a growth potential for them. Guidance, मेरा सेंस है कि गाइडेंस वो रिकैलिब्रेट करेंगे Q4 के एंड में जेलर
नहीं सेंस नहीं है सर, वो तो कमेंट्री में
नहीं कमेंट्री मतलब इन द सेंस कि कितना करेंगे वो पता नहीं ना,
कितना करेंगे वो पता नहीं,
वो चाइना फैक्टर
करेंगे ही करेंगे सर, वो मतलब the fact that they've said it in commentary.
You know, one of the reasons why it is because China has reduced the subsidies on EVs and other stuff.
Yes, sir.
So that is one of the reasons why it's going to happen. So that calibration will happen. But domestic business is now becoming little slow, right? In that sense.
I have an argument to that, sir. Both international and domestic. Base high हो गया है, sir. There is only a certain amount of absorption which is possible for a car which is worth 20 lakh rupees on average. Average selling price being 20 lakh rupees. कितने लोग खरीद सकते हैं? I don't think too many people can buy that. So there is a saturation which both the domestic as well as the international market is seeing. Domestic is also seeing saturation plus competition. So it's a double whammy for the domestic. For international there is saturation happening is what I feel, and the economy is not doing well.
The street is splitting numbers saying कि PLI से 100 करोड़ FY24 का इस साल आया है और 80 करोड़ इस साल का PLI का आया है, so 100 करोड़ every year आ रहा है, तो वो आप हटा दो तो आपके EBITDA numbers
30 more seconds on this before we move to the next one.
But my thing is
your thoughts.
EV जो है is going to be a driver because EV के जो अगर PLI के नंबर के साथ देखोगे तो 10% EBITDA आ रहा है, which with scale it may go up and it will help.
So therefore, will the stock hit 1,000 or no? Is one of the questions, right? That's 700 रुपए का stock है. For 1,000, it needs about a कितना 4,728, right? So around 42% uptick. It seems very tough, very difficult in the current calendar. एक साल में 40% uptick, especially because Q4 will be strong. Very last point here, Q4 will be strong. उन्होंने margin का guidance सोच के दिया होगा. Free cash flow is strong, so अपने को पता है Q4 है. But FY26 outlook is still very uncertain, and therefore, for a stock wherein a lot of other auto companies are available at good valuations, for people to bet on that one at the current point is difficult. The only thing that might, just last 10 seconds, the only thing that might do well is if they split the businesses.
That is happening. That's happening.
So when that happens,
CV and PV separately.
But so CV demand is not recovering.
Yeah, but
nor is PV.
But CV has a higher margin.
Yes,
typically value unlocking of the EV business and an investor coming in, further investor coming in might help.
Or could it become the new ITC hotels? I'm just leaving it there.
Yeah,
I mean anything can happen.
You need for the investors, they have to look at the balance sheet of EV, how it's shaping up.
Yeah.
This is the first quarter when we have seen companies showing what the P&L of a EV will be. Tata Motors ने दिखाया है top line EBITDA 1.7% है if you remove PLI. अगर PLI add करोगे तो 10% EBITDA, which basically means the EV business is making money as of now. Right?
So let's wait and watch that.
And we will have to see what M&M is also going to do because.
So I have a follow-up very quickly. Hyundai. Quick, 60
It's
seconds.
a very slow.
I haven't looked at it. That's why.
And I've seen the global commentary. बहुत ही म्यूटेड कमेंट्री है ग्लोबल पेरेंट का. इंडिया में भी इसके नंबर्स उतने कुछ खास नहीं है. प्रोडक्ट मिक्स जब तक वो डाइवर्सिफाई नहीं करता और ये पूरा नीचे से ऊपर तक नहीं जाता है वो न्यू प्रोडक्ट्स के साथ. आई डोंट थिंक देयर इज गोइंग टू बी मच ग्रोथ कमिंग इन. इट्स वेरी म्यूटेड ग्रोथ दे हैव बीन टॉकिंग अबाउट.
You're neither here nor there. You're not on not properly in the EV game. You're not properly in the
ICE game.
The higher ticket size ICE game. You're not properly in the lower ticket size ICE game also anymore. Your i10 Grand and all are not competing as effectively with the WagonRs and
one or two winners like
Swifts.
Creta. But otherwise,
exactly.
Yeah, but वही तो है, वही तो problem. They don't have multiple segment winners basically, right? Means it's just like the Honda thing. एक या दो गाड़ी के बदौलत कंपनी टिकी हुई है. Simple.
But the Venue is doing well. The Alcaraz or Alcazar, whatever that is also doing decently well. I've seen quite a few cars on the road. But again, are we peaking out in terms of demand for such cars?
So yeah, difficult to call Hyundai per se, but Tata Motors very difficult.
Maruti sir.
Very difficult, but Maruti is game changing. But we need to move beyond autos as well, which is why. But Maruti
ABB batao.
Yeah, let ABB also. ABB Lotus has had a big bump up today, so interesting. Yeah, ABB. I was looking at some.
You look at ABB very closely. That's why I'm asking.
No, and we spoke to the global CEO at Davos. Yeah. Quick 40-50 seconds. This is disappointing, and it is maybe indicative of because ABB ke order flow was coming even when the other cap goods were not getting order flows because ABB was present in the right areas. Correct. Is this saying that order inflow even in the high growth areas like green energy, energy transition, data centers is a bit slow this time? That is a worry.
In contrast, what is Hitachi Energy doing?
Yeah. But that is one great energy transition here and now demands great order book. But that's what I'm saying. So because ABB is slightly more spread out. Correct. The only point I'm making is when I looked at the other peers, right? You look at the trailing 12 months P because it's difficult to call out 12 months. I'm not a fan of trailing TTMP. Log bolte TTMP. I hate that argument. But because यहाँ पे outlook is uncertain, so you take the advantage of TTMP. TTMP for ABB is actually lower than Siemens currently. Is actually lower than BHEL currently, right? And we know it's a pedigree quality management. I would believe that there is merit in trying. You should punish the stock right now. The stock is getting punished. Last line here. It'll be amazing to hear Sanjeev Sharma and understand what is he feeling about the nature of this order slowdown and is this going to last or no. It is still not a very cheap stock, but it is much cheaper than a lot of other peers, and therefore I believe that another 4-5% and that will be it for ABB.
Okay, you spoke about P, so I'm just going to mark out the P's for viewer perspective. 72 trailing 12-month P on ABB, 83.5 on Siemens. This is all trailing 12 months. Niraj Shah doesn't subscribe to it, but nonetheless, and BHEL is 133 trailing 12 months. Okay, so this is how it's stacking up. Hitachi Energy is 166 after today's rally. So I'll just leave it there. So
20% bar.
So that's quite a run.
So that is one, right? So ABB was one. Any of you have view on Lotus? I have, but any of you have view on Lotus?
Lotus.
The thing that has happened. So okay, I'll very quickly mention that because it's up 8% today. Management ne clarity diya, the stock didn't rally. Somebody was asking that, right? The reason why it happened is because when the stock got hit because of this US decision,
and it's been reversed now.
Right, the management gave out this commentary that हमें impact नहीं होता है. The stock didn't react because the market in its wisdom believed US ने किया है. Lotus, independent of what he says, gets impacted. Now, even if it's just 4-5% of the EBITDA, the stock is up 8% today and 6% yesterday because it's not because it is only 4-5% of EBITDA, but because US has reversed the decision.
That's because of court order which has come.
Exactly.
Yeah, 90 days.
No, Donald Trump said, humanitarian grounds, I'm okay to do it, right? So therefore, if the stock got hit from 600 to 500, because of this decision, the decision reverses, the stock goes back to 586.
This is the classic example of what Trump mania will do, right?
Exactly.
वो एक दिन हाँ बोलता है, दूसरे दिन ना बोलता है, तीसरे दिन बोलता है maybe.
I'm Donald Trump. I do what I do.
Simple.
But sir, in Lotus, the CDMO opportunity continues to be very, very large. I'm sorry, I zoned out for a couple of minutes. I'm not sure if you spoke about it. That opportunity is very, very large. And all CDMO companies are expected to do very, very well. Look at Ami Organics' numbers. You're up 6% on the back of a 20% circuit yesterday. So clearly, the environment is changing and you'll have to keep track of that.
Yes.
And of course, with Trump, it will be faster changing. So,
yeah. What else?
There is one viewer, Shankar. I think he wants something on SG Mart. Shankar, we spoke about SG Mart. I think you may have missed it. I think numbers are very good. The 9-month profit was more than FY24 profit. They have raised some money. It's basically a platform which is into building material trading. Now, beyond that, there's very little coverage which is there on that stock, and from looks of it, it's the performance is good. That's what it seems like. 9 मंथ का 70 करोड़ था और आई थिंक फुल ईयर का उसका 55-60 करोड़ के आसपास था. So it has the numbers are there and the top line is also showing a good growth, but the top line it seems like is a GOV, which is gross order value. It's not the net of commissions which is there. तो 4,000 करोड़ कुछ मैंने नंबर देखा था वो 9 मंथ्स के लिए उनका, तो वो नेट ऑफ करके देखना पड़ेगा कि कितना है उसमें. अदरवाइज इट लुक्स लाइक, बट स्टॉक इज आई थिंक प्रेफरेंशियल इशू हुआ था 450 ऑड रुपीस पे, अभी 300 समथिंग पे 370 80 पे है मेरे ख्याल से. सो
एंड स्टिल ट्रेडिंग एट mid 30
times. So it's something which
B2B business, not even B2C.
B2B. So it's not going to
by the APL Apollo promoter.
Exactly, APL Apollo promoter.
Yeah, 34 times on it. Sorry.
And the best thing is that you cannot compare it with other platform businesses because it's more of a B2B business. So it depends upon.
Correct. Exactly.
And lastly, they've got a fairly decent team. So these guys have gotten in some right people from different banks and platforms, etc. And trying to do that. Interesting business.
I mean, still we see more numbers and clarity on how they are breaking it up. It's very difficult to give much more. Like हम Zomato और Swiggy पे बोलते हैं, ऐसे इसमें नहीं बोल पाएंगे.
Sami Hotels, हाँ वो मैंने भी क्वेश्चन पढ़ा. Interesting, right? I mean, I expected blockbuster numbers when I was looking at it today morning.
Blockbuster?
Very strong numbers, I thought. Margins went up quite sharply. I'll pull it out.
But when I saw and looked at it relative to estimates, they seemed to be okay. Actually, this is the thing that I think Hiral or somebody was saying in the morning that both hotels that have come out are very good. I thought the numbers were, for both that have come out, are okayish. In the trade side for today, I mentioned that while there is so much of fanfare around hotel numbers,
hotel numbers are not
arguably should be the strongest quarter.
Euphoric numbers नहीं है.
Euphoric नहीं है.
It's an inline set actually. I stand corrected. In fact, margins are slightly lower than estimates. But when you're looking at it YOY, 10% growth on revenue, 30% growth on EBITDA, margins going up from 32 to 37.5%. Just looks optically, it looked
but hotels
really good.
As a whole, hospitality as a whole, we haven't seen that kind of exuberance. मतलब numbers अच्छे आए हैं, growth है YOY. Q3 has been a relatively very good quarter for many of the hotels, but वो जो push है ना, momentum नहीं दिख रहा है ना उस hotel.
But now they've been doing this for last 4 years, no, Sajeet? So now the base effect is also coming into play.
So is it fatigue coming into the stock?
You could call it some bit of fatigue or maturing of the sector. So Puneet Chatwal of Indian Hotels in the last results interview mentioned that if India continues to grow at 6.5 till 2047, Viksit Bharat, etc., the hotel sector moves from being cyclical to structural. Because itni hotels hi nahi hai. And I have somebody who works in the Marriott, right? And they were saying that there is no reason why one city cannot have 10 properties of the same hotel group. Bombay hasn't seen, except for Fairmont opening recently. I don't think we've seen a hotel opening in such a long time, and there are only 3 or 4 other hotels coming. So
the number of keys which are coming in are much lower in big cities.
Lower. Fairmont is big, but still the number of keys.
In Navi Mumbai wala jo hai.
No, Fairmont is right at the Sahar airport.
Oh, Sahar airport.
Okay. It's got
300 keys, no?
No, much larger. The banquet facility is much higher.
Okay.
Yeah. So Fairmont is actually very large.
Okay.
But do you see the kind of run up in hotel stocks? Because
Indian
hotels 40 times EV by EBITDA चल रहा है, ये 27 Indian ITC hotels 27 times चल रहा है.
Valuation किधर है? Maybe that will give better perspective as well.
The cheap नहीं है अभी.
Not cheap at all. So I think people will pick and choose specific hotels, etc. depending on the
country. Sami का 83 trailing 12 months है. Trailing 12 months.
So 100% growth कर लो, फिर भी 40 times. अगर 100% grow करे तो.
But around 55-60 times is a fairer valuation.
That's not cheap.
That's not cheap.
That's not cheap actually.
So you need to fire. I mean, Hitachi Energy is firing because it's an expensive stock, but look at the delivery.
Yeah.
Crazy delivery.
And order book.
Yeah.
Size is huge.
Yeah. So that's why, and maybe that's why BHEL also. But yeah. So BHEL also, I mean, expensive stock, but massive order book, executed a little bit. Stock has done well.
But do you think that ability of BHEL to execute is there? क्योंकि हम हमेशा हम देखते हैं कि ऑर्डर बुक तो बहुत ज़्यादा होता है BHL वगैरह में, बट ये एग्जीक्यूशन में वो डिले बहुत आते हैं.
Yeah, but last 2 quarters they moved into the black convincingly. Their PPTs are looking a lot more constructive now. We haven't spoken to them, but the PowerPoint presentation on the exchange is looking very healthy. But I, for the life of me, can't imagine why somebody would pay 140 PE trading 12 months. Versus some of the other MNC players, great execution available at a fraction of 134.
If I can try to attempt an argument
very quickly, we have a minute.
Tough, but out of, and I had seen this back in 2020, the working capital, or rather the receivables plus cash plus within BHEL was at $84 a share at that time. Maybe a little bit more now. Let's take ballpark 100, okay, as the number. You're trading at 200. If your receivables etc. are only 100, then may warrant some kind of valuation. At that time it was a mismatch at 20 rupees a share. Huge mismatch. Not anymore. At 300 also it was overvalued, I felt. But somewhere maybe may help looking at the asset base of the company. 2000 crore का fixed asset है, 7000 crore क्वार्टरली रेवेन्यू करता है, 2000 करोड़ के फिक्स्ड एसेट बेस पे, तो बहुत बढ़िया है. There is not too many companies which are able to churn that kind of.
I agree, but I'll just leave people with one thought here, right? We always feel when
everything is
cash is sanity, right? I mean, when stocks trade at egregious valuations, we feel that everything is going right, and we find reasons for that to be. So
To
in
justify
BHEL,
it,
to justify the BHEL, the reason
I'm
is look at the order book. No, you may well be right, but we've seen this tape play out enough number of times that very KPIT Tech, right? They haven't done anything wrong. Stock 1900 वाला 1200 जाके आया भाई. You high quality thing, everything perfect, cash flows amazing, everything great, right? Cash conversion cycle superb. Just be a bit wary of egregious valuations when they turn. ABB, right? Classic 9000 का 5500 है. So just be a bit wary of egregious valuations.
You know, before we end, economic survey कल आ रहा है, budget Saturday को है, so stay tuned. But what should you look out for in economic survey?
बजट को आप करोगे ये 12-12:30 बजे?
करेंगे ना, क्यों नहीं करेंगे?
मैं नहीं आ पाऊंगा, लेकिन ठीक है.
नहीं सर, आप भी आ पाओगे.
12:30 नहीं करेंगे, मे बी 1-2 बजे करेंगे. एक बार हमको फाइन प्रिंट आ जाए तो हम बताएंगे कि which are the big thing, what are the big things.
ठीक है,
बात करने के लिए.
And maybe we'll have an expert along with us.
हाँ, या हम ही करेंगे, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. हम 10 चीजें जो आपको देखनी चाहिए वो बताएंगे हम. बट इकोनॉमिक सर्वे में आपको क्या क्या देखना चाहिए फ्रॉम इन्वेस्टर्स पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू?
सॉरी, मैं टीवी चैनल में बोल रहा हूँ, टीवी बंद कर दो. इकोनॉमिक सर्वे में कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. वेट फॉर द बजट डे, और बजट डे को वो जो अनाउंसमेंट,
डोंट यू नो दिस पॉडकास्ट, कीप दिस पॉडकास्ट ऑन.
हम सच बोलते हैं यार. कोई आई हैव सीन दिस सो मेनी इयर्स. इकोनॉमिक सर्वे एक नंबर बोलता है, इवेंचुअली द बजट गिव्स आउट अ कंप्लीटली डिफरेंट नंबर. एट द एंड ऑफ इट थिंग्स आर कंप्लीटली डिफरेंट. Don't bother about the economic survey.
So economic survey is like the blue sky scenario for
No, we will talk about it tomorrow on TV. We have to. But my limited point is यार कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. Look at the budget day, और बजट डे भी स्टेटमेंट ऑफ अकाउंट से थोड़ा कम ट्रेड करते वक्त संभाल के रहना बजट दिन. I mean, don't trade too much on budget day. Simple.
And we will also talk about
I will not venture.
And we'll also talk about the F&O positions going into the budget.
यार अभी यार 20 साल बजट किया है तो थोड़ा वो के नहीं यार, no point.
Okay guys, thank you so much for joining in.
सही है यार, seriously, so much of importance given to